Just when Disney was hoping to move past all of the lawsuits that they've been embroiled in over the past few years, including settling the lawsuit they had with the state of Florida, they are now hit with a brand new lawsuit involving Imagineers on a proposed move to Florida that never happened. Hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic, and let's get right into this story here. So, the Los Angeles Times is reporting about this story here, and the headline says Disney told LA residents to move to Florida for a planned campus. They did it. They did. It was canceled, and now they're suing. So we're going to get into the story. This involves the Lake Nona project that a lot of this was going on. This was during Chapek when this was proposed, and then you had the Battle of Florida, and it involved some of this as well. So the Walt Disney Company continues to face fallout from its scuttled plans to move 2,000 California employees to a Florida campus, a controversial decision the company reversed last year following the return of Chief Executive Bob Iger. Now, these employees was Disney Imagineering. I believe a large chunk of that was to move those employees over to Florida, which, again, that's a giant move from California to Florida. Says in 2021, then CEO, Bob Chapek and Parks and Experiences Chairman Josh D'Amaro announced plans to relocate employees supporting Disney theme parks and resorts, including the celebrated Imagineers, to a planned $1 billion office park in the Lake Nona area of Orlando, Florida. The move was designed for Disney to take advantage of Florida tax credits, but the cross-country shift was deeply unpopular among employees who were asked to uproot their lives in Southern California. It says now some Disney employees are suing the company over the canceled relocation. According to a lawsuit filed Tuesday against Disney in Los Angeles County Superior Court, numerous workers heeded the company's calls, dutifully sold their homes in the Los Angeles area, and moved to Central Florida. Plaintiffs Maria de la Cruz and George Fong, both current Disney employees, alleged that they were fraudulently induced to relocate to Florida by being led to believe that they would lose their jobs if they turned down the move. De La Cruz and Fong agreed to the relocation in November of 2021. The lawsuit said Disney told affected employees that they would have 90 days to consider and make the decision that's best for them. That's kind of wild to consider. First off, moving from California to Florida, I mean, that's literally opposite ends of the country. And to make that decision in 90 days, I'm sure a lot of these people had, family and friends, like your entire life was in this area. And to only have 90 days to do this. But I believe the whole plan for this was to even be within like 18 months of a move, which even that's pretty ambitious given the amount of people you're moving, and it's Imagineering on top of that, and uprooting your entire life to go over here. And I know people move for jobs all the time, but it's one thing for a job here and there, but basically this was foisted upon these people. So I do understand that. That is a big decision to have within 90 days here. De La Cruz, a vice president of project design, sold her Altadena home in May of 2022. Mr. Fong also sold his home, which was a particularly painful decision because it was the family home he had grown up and inherited, the lawsuit claims. Fong is a creative director of product design, and his family home was in Los Angeles. But a year after they sold their houses and moved, Disney canceled the project. A Disney spokesman did not immediately provide comment. The proposed class action lawsuit to represent, quote, all current and former California Disney employees who relocated from California to Florida as a result of Disney's announcement of the Lake Nona project. But the project became swept up in Disney's legal and cultural war wranglings with Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, a one-time presidential hopeful. Now, I don't believe... I think at the time when this happened as well, there was a lot of things being cut in the company. I don't necessarily think that the reason Lake Nona didn't happen is because of all the things that were happening with Florida. I think that might be a nice little excuse that they use to basically say, oh, it's not happening because of this. But at that same time period, there was significant cost cutting across the company. So obviously, this is probably something we'll never know for sure. But I kind of felt like all along that they were kind of using this fight with Florida as an excuse for Lake Nona not to happen. Plus, they were getting a lot of pushback, as this lawsuit here would show as well. They were getting a lot of pushback from the Imagineers and the people that were looking to be relocated because they did not want to do this. So I think that was a lot of it as well, which the article then actually goes on to say that. It says 1 month after Disney filed a federal First Amendment lawsuit against Florida, it pulled the plug on the Lake Nona development. as of now, the legal matters have been resolved. Like we said, they dropped that lawsuit against Florida, but the project's cancellation also coincided with significant cost cutting across the company, which links to an article where they talk about a lot of the movies not doing well. And I think that was one reason for the cost cutting as well. They were not, the movie side has not been doing, I mean, Inside Out 2 is doing well now, but as of that movie, they haven't done the best on the movie side. Disney Plus has been losing money as well. So a lot of these things, I think, went into Lake Nona not happening, not just this fight with Florida. Disney explained the reversal in a May 2023 statement. It says, quote, given the considerable changes that have occurred since the announcement of this project, including new leadership and changing business conditions, we have decided not to move forward with construction of the campus. And that leadership was going from Bob Chapek to Bob Iger. So again, you had different people in charge there that maybe they decided, again, for numerous reasons, they weren't going to do this, but happened under Iger where they announced they weren't going to do this. So Disney at the time acknowledged that some employees had already moved. The company said it would discuss the situation with individual employees, including making plans to move them back to California. But compensation packages offered to affected employees by the company were inadequate, the lawsuit alleges. The lawsuit said numerous Disney workers refused to make the move, and some remain employed by the company, which, given that these people made the move because it was implied to them that they would lose their jobs if they did not, I could see that being a pretty big point of contention if some of these people didn't make the move and they did not lose their jobs. After Disney reversed its plans, home prices in the Orlando area fell. Since 2022, home prices in Los Angeles have climbed and higher interest rates complicated the financial picture, the lawsuit said. Fong has since bought a home in South Pasadena that has considerably less square footage than his previous Los Angeles home, the lawsuit says, and De La Cruz is in the process of moving back to California. So this is wanting to start a class action lawsuit, which this means a lot of other current and former Disney employees can get on it, get involved in this. I mean, I can say from looking at this, a lot of Imagineers ended up leaving the company because of this. And if you look at this, also coincides with a lot of things like Communicore Hall over at Epcot and a lot of the things that have been happening in the parks. I mean, there's been some criticism in some of the creativity. I mean, it's hard to not look at this and say there was so much turmoil in Imagineering that it would not, how did it not affect some of the end product, and especially with stuff like this going on. I can see the situation. I mean, if you sold your home, and especially like everything was been wild since COVID times, but living in Florida, home prices surged up. They have come back down, and in California, apparently they're saying they've gone up. So the people that did make that move, they sold their homes in California, came here, paid a lot for their homes. By the time they sell their homes, they're getting less than probably what they paid for it, or is stagnant, and come back and have to pay even more for a house. Like they were saying, the Fong employee, and getting less of a home for that value. And they didn't put out numbers, but if Disney is not reimbursing these people adequately, this is where this lawsuit stems. So not a good look for Disney, and not a good, I'm sure, overall morale for Disney Imagineering. I mean, Imagineering has been known, it's the backbone of the Disney parks. It always has been. I mean, when the parks were opened, I mean, Walt worked with them so much, and it's a heralded division of the company that is behind all of the great things they've done in Disneyland and Disney World. And honestly, to see them be treated as such, in this stuff happening is not a great look. And, it's something that unfortunately we've heard many aspects within Disney that this kind of stuff has happened before. It's a corporation, and many times corporations do things like this. And I am curious. I mean, they currently still work for Disney. There's laws in the books, there's whistleblower laws, but at the same time, you have to wonder if they will be with the company longer or much longer, considering this class action lawsuit, which could be I mean, if this continues going forward, I mean, this could be a very expensive lawsuit, because you're talking 2,000 employees that were planning to move. Now, we don't know how many of those employees did move versus didn't, but let's say a considerable amount of them did move and then had to move back or lost their jobs. I mean, is Disney going to be liable for lost wages because of this, because they didn't make the move? Anyway, it's a messy situation, one that I'm sure Disney doesn't wish they were involved in, and one that I hope gets resolved and these people get their lives at least put back where they started from, because I can only imagine the situation of basically you're moving because you have this job that you love, and you're told you have 90 days to figure this out, and you don't want to lose this job. So you make this move, and then you're rewarded by saying, oops, never mind, we're not doing this, you need to move back. Not a great situation. So I hope it gets resolved. I hope these people get, at the very least, your idea here would be to put back where you started from. But we'll have to wait and see about further developments on this. But of now, that is the story here. So that's going to do it for this video. If you like this video, please like it. Subscribe to the channel if you wouldn't mind, as we'll be doing more Disney World, Universal Studios, and pop culture related news here. And let us know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think that these people have a case? Do you think Disney was right to do this and pull it back? Let us know what you think. And until next time, we will see you in the parks.